Good morning, church. All right, so good to see everybody here. I think I need to do a precursor to this rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. Everybody knows this is based on the most famous version by Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock. And it might be a little loud at some places, because if I don't play it loud, it won't be heard. And this was a shock that was heard around the world, really. And that was the changing of this country. And it seems like people want to make it go back to where it used to be. After all of the protests and all of the marching and all of the voting and all of the struggle, now so many people are just laid back and satisfied and want things to go back. Well, I'm going to let my voice be heard through my guitar today. So like I said, I'm not going to go all the way wild. You know, those days are behind me. I'm a little older now, but we still stretch out. Thank you very much. Like I said, it was going to get loud. And this is time for all of us to get loud right now. It's time for everybody to get loud, or otherwise we're going to get mowed over.
My. The words of Alice Walker. Love, if it is love, never goes away. It is embedded in us like seams of gold in the earth, waiting for light, waiting to be struck. On this July 4th weekend, in this troubled time for our nation, we gather to listen for what love is calling us to do and what love is calling us to be. Welcome to All Souls. I am Reverend Bill Sinkford. My pronouns are he and him. Come now, and let us worship together. Each week, we light the flame of our chalice as sign and symbol of the warmth of community that sustains us and that we offer to all who would gather and make common cause with us. We light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love. Please join now in singing our first hymn, Love Will Guide Us.
So we're going to put just a little pep in this song. I know you sing it a little differently, but let's pick it up a little. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. A hope inside of us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard nights. If you cannot sing like an angel, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. I said love will guide us. Peace has tried us. A hope inside of us will lead the way. Oh Lord, on the road from greed to giving, love will guide us through the hard nights. Good, thank you.
Greetings and good morning. My name is John Matthews and I'm proud to be your worship associate. My pronouns are he, his. Welcome to All Souls, where our name says it all. For nearly 200 years, our congregation has sought to live up to the vision inherent in our name, All Souls. It's a vision of a human community where all people are welcome at the table, where we recognize ourselves as part of one human family, dedicated to fostering what Dr. King called the beloved community. We invite you to join us as we seek to create a diverse, justice-seeking, spirit-growing community that is true to the dream of all souls. I'd like to extend a special welcome to those of you who are new or visiting our community. If you're here for the first time or still feel new here, please raise your hand in person or on Zoom so that we can give you an All Souls welcome. Are there any visitors today? We are so glad you're here, and we hope that after the service you'll join us for coffee and snacks in Pierce Hall, which is out the door to my left and across the hall. If you do, please consider dropping past the guest table and saying hi. If you're in the sanctuary, the order of service can be accessed by the QR code located on the back of the pew in front of you, or you can get a printed copy from an usher where there is a QR code. For those on Zoom, a link to the order of service is in the chat. Our weekly email newsletter is a great way to stay up to date on all upcoming offerings of our church community. If you are not currently subscribed, sign up through the link on the All Souls website homepage. A link should be in the Zoom chat as well. All Souls recognize that our city and our church was built on lands taken from indigenous people. We lament this injustice. The closest village to our church was Nacotchtank, from which the name Anacostia is derived. The residents were part of the Piscataway group of tribes present in the DC and Maryland region. Descendants remain in this region to this day. And for all of us who aren't native to this land, one way to practice our commitment to the eighth principle is to find out what Native organizing is happening in your area and how you can support it. Now is the time when we greet one another. If you're on Zoom, open up your gallery screen and please wave hello. We can see you and we can wave hello to you from the cameras in the back. There you are. Hello, Zoomers. If you are physically present in the sanctuary, please greet each other in the way that feels best to you. Now, let's take some time to greet one another. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Let's continue our conversations and greetings after the service in Pierce Hall. Again, welcome to All Souls Church.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me you got to beware. Look out, everybody stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. There's battle lines being drawn. If nobody's right, then everyone's is wrong. Young people speaking their mind, getting so much resistance from behind. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and carrying signs, mostly saying hooray for our side. Everybody stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Paranoia strikes deep into the heart, it will creep. It starts when you are afraid, waiting for the man to take you away. It's time to stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Laura Prophet. I am the Acting Director of Religious Education for All Souls. My pronouns are she, her. And today, our Story for All Ages is a picture book. When I learned of the topic for today's service, I was like, ooh. But I know I wanted to find a book that could touch on both the promise of the United States, but also the problems. And so I thought, Amanda Gorman. You're probably familiar with her from President Biden's inauguration and her other books of poetry that have come out since then. And she has a children's book called Change Things, which is really awesome. So we are going to start that now. The slides will be up here. I don't know if there are any people, particularly children, if you'd like to come up closer to the front and you want to see from the book, you can. There's an open bench there and there, but you can also just stay where you are. All right. I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. I scream with the skies of red and blue streamers. I dream with the cries of tried and true dreamers. I'm a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my change sings. Though some don't understand it, those windmills of mysteries. I sing with all the planet and its hills of histories. I hum with 100 hearts, each of us lifting a hand. I use my strengths and smarts, take a knee to make a stand. I'm bright as the light that each day brings. There is love where my change sings. I show others tolerance, though it might take some courage. I don't make a taller fence, but fight to build a better bridge. I talk not only of distances, from where and how we came, I also walk our differences to show we are the same. I'm a movement that roars and springs. There's a wave where my change sings. Change sings where? There, inside of me, because I'm the change I want to see. As I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what this world needs. I'm the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We are the wave starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. We're what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We all hear change strumming. Won't you sing along? And that was our story for today. Now, we have RE activities for kindergarten through 5th grade. We're going to exit to your right and go with me. And if you have a younger child who's 5 and under, our nursery and preschool area is open downstairs if you'd like to drop them off. Thanks.
Usually we're singing, so we could just cheer them out. Yay! Bill is singing Siahamba up here. So, hello everyone. I'm Reverend Louise, your Minister of Congregational Care, pronouns she, her. It's good to be with you on this steamy summer weekend. And if you are with us online or in person from any of the UU churches and the Potomac Partnership, we welcome you. During the month of July, we are invited to visit other congregations in the region, in the Unitarian universe. You might be noticing that masks are now optional within the sanctuary space. Please just do what feels right for you. With our support, we know some continue to choose masking for their own health and immune systems, and every choice is fine. Take a look at the order of service to see the events that are coming in July. Every Sunday, we have great musicians to enjoy, like today. Thank you for being here. And Religious Education is running a summer makerspace for ages kindergarten through 5th grade with childcare for babies and toddlers. I want to call your attention to next week, July 9th. It's in the back of the order of service. We have a guest, Joe Weston, who's written a book, Fierce Civility, Transforming Global Culture from Polarization to Lasting Peace. I'm going to be preaching on the book, Risking Courageous Conversations, and he is also going to be doing a workshop from 12 to 1 after the service. So please join in for that. We move now into our time of congregational care, bringing names and situations to heart and mind. We send our good wishes today to Reverend Norman Allen, who's now in Portland, Maine, getting settled, along with partner Gary Penn. Norman begins at First Parish Unitarian in August, and Gary will continue helping with the All Souls database for now. We hope they have a great new beginning in Portland. Allison Erickson has asked for prayers for her brother, who is now in a rehab program for alcoholism in California. And we send strength and courage for this journey for the entire family. We hold all those in love and care who work with addictions themselves or their family and friends. And now those names and situations which are on your heart or mind today, you can put them in the Zoom chat, or you can say them aloud now into this space, your names and situations. Our prayer today is by the Scottish theologian John Philip Newell. It comes via the Celtic Christian tradition. And would you pray or meditate with me? Ground of all being, Mother of life, Father of the universe, your name is sacred beyond speaking. May we know your presence. May your longing be our longing in thought and in action. May there be food for the human family today and for the whole earth community. Forgive us the falseness of what we have done as we forgive those who are untrue to us. And do not forsake us in this time of trial, but lead us into new beginnings. For the light of life and the vitality of life and the glory of life is yours now and forever. Amen.
Come to me.
Our reading this morning is entitled Turquoise Patriot by the Reverend Victoria Safford. A child I know, Victoria writes, when asked whether she would answer the call of her elementary school principal to wear red, white, and blue clothes to school, was in a quandary. She put down the crayon with which she was trying to squeeze the words, "Peace is possible," onto the white bars, between the red bars, on the small American flag she had made, and she said, "Well, it's a pretty good country, so it's hard to know what to wear." This is a pretty good country. It's one of hundreds of pretty good countries, filled with millions of pretty good and pretty proud and worthy people. It's a pretty good but pretty complicated country, where lately I, who am a lifelong citizen, feel even more than usual like an alien, afraid that if I speak, my voice might betray not some foreign place of origin, but the uneven geography of my heart. It is hard to know what to wear. These days, everywhere I go, Victoria goes on, everywhere I go and with anyone I meet, I'm wondering, where are you coming from, friend? With your black armband, with your red, white, and blue clothing, with your peace sign, with your tears, with your flag? What roads have you traveled to reach the place where you are? In our pretty good country, it is an honor and a privilege to answer and in turn to ask, what really are you loyal to? What usefulness can nationalism serve now? What is America's right role and my right role as a citizen? And what are you going to wear? The child found her own remarkable response. When asked what she thought she'd like to do, she said, "It's a pretty good country." And she looked up then for confirmation of that claim, for some assurance that this guess of hers might in fact be true. And then she said, deeply serious, I think I'm going to wear turquoise, pink, and beige for now." And so she did. And I don't know if she knows what risk might be entailed there or how her own chosen symbols of ambivalence might be misunderstood. I don't know what confidence she might inspire in this country to which she has not yet even learned at her young age to pledge allegiance. For now, she is a turquoise patriot. She's proud and scared and questioning. Her allegiance is to her own conscience, and her trust is, for now, with the adults in whose clumsy hands her entire future is contained. A turquoise patriot. Her trust is in the adults in whose clumsy hands her future is contained. Her trust is in us. How did we come to carry the responsibility to defend or to rationalize the decisions of this nation state that we are told should command our loyalty? Did any of you sign up for this? Patriotism. That's my topic on this July 4th weekend. Patriotism. Devotion to and vigorous support for one's country. That's the Oxford Dictionary definition. Wikipedia, as usual, makes it a little more personal. A feeling of love and devotion and a deep sense of attachment. Love and devotion. How many of our hearts are filled with love for this nation on this weekend? How many of us would describe our feeling as one of devotion? How many of us would be much happier marching in a pride parade than a 4th of July parade? Or find greater meaning in Juneteenth than the fireworks of the 4th? There are a lot of sermons to be preached this morning. So let me at least get started. First, there is that demand for loyalty. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. You all know this, right? And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Every morning in my 5th and 6th grade segregated classroom in Asheville, North Carolina, we began the day with that pledge. We would stand, hands over hearts, looking at the flag, which was at the front of the classroom, and recite that pledge in unison. How many of you did that when you were younger? And then in that classroom in Asheville, North Carolina, every morning, we would sing, "Lift Every Voice and Sing," the Negro national anthem. Lift every voice, which talks of the stony road toward freedom and asks us all to remember both the progress and the cost of that progress. Asks us to find in that complicated history enough reason to hope. Enough, just enough reason to hope. The patriotism that I learned was not my country right or wrong. It was not about devotion. It was not about loyalty. The patriotism I learned fueled protest and demanded more progress. The patriotism I learned understood full well the bad check Dr. King described on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. The bad check embodied in the language written by slave-owning Unitarian forebear Thomas Jefferson, that all men are created equal. This nation has always existed in the tension between its lofty promise of equality and the persistent unwillingness to make good on that promise. Dr. King spoke about the bad check before he allowed himself to speak of the dream. And sadly, this nation still wants only to dream rather than cash that check to bring that dream alive. Amen. Are you with me so far? Now, we are asked on July 4th for devotion to that lofty promise that was at the beginning of this nation, though we see so clearly the truth of this nation's practice, the resistance to change, the movement backwards. The 4th of July has never been an easy holiday for many of us. Speaking before the Ladies' Anti-Slavery Society in July of 1852, Frederick Douglass, who had escaped from slavery 14 years earlier, asked, "What to the slave is the 4th of July?" And today, in our time, we could ask, what to the undocumented immigrant is the 4th? What to trans individuals who are being targeted is this holiday? What to students burdened by college debt? What to those who bear children and want to control their own bodies? What to those whose land and labor were stolen? What is this holiday to so many of us? What is this holiday to you? Now, my plan, when I committed to this sermon some months ago, having set up the tension between the promise and the practice and raised the question of loyalty, of allegiance, my plan had been then to turn attention to Unitarian Universalism. Not only our faith's voice in establishing the promise and the dream, but our faith's practice as well. I was going to talk about nationalism and the language of the sixth of our 8 principles, world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. World community, not national community. But that language of world community did not make it into the new version of the principles the General Assembly of our faith just gave the green light for us to consider. More on that in the coming year. I was going to point to our Universalist heritage in this church called All Souls, not all American souls, and the role of national identity in an interdependent world. I was going to ask how many of us know that the Unitarian Universalist Association was originally conceived not as a national body, but a global one, with many Canadian congregations. The Unitarian Church of the Philippines was welcomed into membership. And then I was going to talk about the role of All Souls here in this nation's capital, how important it was when I served as UUA president that Unitarian Universalism had a prominent platform here in DC, how the UU contingent of the March for Women's Lives started in this sanctuary, how All Souls served as a kind of UU national cathedral. I even planned to reference the new All Souls church goals, which talk of serving the needs of this city, but not the needs of this nation, and wonder how that more local focus could impact the way All Souls is viewed by other UUs and how All Souls is viewed by you all. Now, all of those are good questions. And I thought I could have closed with a reflection on the slow pace of progress toward beloved community. I might have returned to the lyrics of Lift Every Voice and preached that there was still enough progress to justify hope. And it would have been a good UU 4th of July sermon. It would have. But today I cannot occupy this pulpit without talking about the recent Supreme Court decisions, because the rules of this game, the requirements of patriotism have changed. We need to hold a different space than we thought we had to hold just a couple of years ago. The challenge is no longer how to sustain hope when progress toward beloved community is slow. That was challenge enough. But although the progress was slow, it felt real, and it seemed to justify hope. For example, marriage equality most certainly did not remedy all of the prejudice and oppression of the BGLTQ+ community, especially the trans community, but it was an important piece of progress and a sign that more could come. This week, the Supreme Court opened the door not to continued progress, but to more discrimination against the BGLTQ+ community. Another example, affirmative action has always been a complicated technique to use in equalizing opportunity for Black and brown folks in higher education. And I need to be clear that I am a beneficiary of early affirmative action efforts at Harvard University. This week, the Supreme Court majority ruled that Asian American applicants were being discriminated against, and perhaps they were, though no members of that model minority community signed on to the suit. Not one. We are ready, the court decided for us all, we are ready for colorblind to be enough response to centuries of oppression. That's what the court said. They argued that the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, written specifically to establish the citizenship of formerly enslaved Black folks, was a colorblind writing. The reactionary supermajority chose, however, not to outlaw legacy admissions to these elite schools. Affirmative action for the privileged and the powerful is still clearly acceptable. It always has been. The same analysis applies to preventing loan forgiveness for tens of millions of U.S. citizens, while not questioning the forgiveness of those PPP loans for successful businesses and the wealthy, including many members of Congress, and just to be clear, including All Souls Church Unitarian as well. Privilege exists in this space as we gather. A few years ago, just one more, the court took away the constitutional right of women to control their bodies. We are no longer dealing with slow and incremental progress. We just aren't. What we've got here is a court that denies precedent, denies settled law, denies public opinion. A court whose only accountability seems to be to wealthy donors. A court that has no ethical guidelines it is required to follow. And that court is moving this nation backwards to the bad old days. Before the civil rights movement convinced us all, convinced every marginalized community among us that our voices did in fact matter, that this could be a society for all souls. And this strategy on the part of the right is not a new strategy. It's now just so much more flagrant and so much more effective. It's been 10 years since the emerging conservative majority on the court gutted the Voting Rights Act, empowering Jim Crow-level voting restrictions in those states that we now color confidently red. And our response here at All Souls has been robust. This is the Reeb Voting Rights Project. We've actually taken on the challenge. This is not new. But we never imagined, though we may have feared, that our stacked Supreme Court would be willing to take our laws back to the days of Father Knows Best and leave it to Beaver. And so, it's getting harder and harder to say, with the child in our reading, that this is a pretty good country. It's hard this 4th of July, harder than I can remember to get to patriotism. Perhaps that's so for you as well. So how do we navigate this new reality? How do we navigate it? Do we advocate for court reform, term limits, a code of ethics, investigation of at least one or two of the justices? Yes, that's my answer. My answer is yes. Even expand the court to make a more immediate impact, perhaps that too. But all of those changes require electoral victories that are far from certain. So, how do we navigate? What North Star can we follow? This is far from a complete plan, but there are a few things that I think we must do. First, we must know the truth of these times. Do not allow yourself, regardless of your personal identities or your social location, do not allow yourself to forget the truth of the world. Second, remember how power and privilege work. Trans bodies, women's bodies, black and brown bodies may be the most at risk today, but the movement backward threatens us all. That's how power and privilege work. And remember that All Souls, this beautiful space, is called a sanctuary for a reason. Embrace All Souls as a place of resistance where we can insist that beloved community is not an idle dream, but how we aspire to live. Imagine All Souls as a place where you, with all of your identities, can find both sanctuary and answer the call of love. And then and then create this community so that it can be that for you and for all of those who will enter through those doors. And finally, remember that we are not the first to fear, or the first to struggle, or the first to have our faith tested. Deep in our religious DNA is faith that we can shape the world. Belief in our agency is a precious inheritance of this religious tradition. It comes to us from the privileged Unitarian side of our religious family tree, but the Universalist in us can use that agency to build the world we dream about and resist return to a deeply flawed past. So finally, let our patriotism, let your patriotism on this 4th of July weekend point us all toward persistence. Because our work is far from done, and our voice is needed now more than ever. And to use the language of the court, this church and this faith have standing. We were there at the beginning of this American experiment. We have a legitimate voice to raise. Frederick Douglass, in his day, said it this way: "The feeling of the nation must be quickened, the conscience of the nation must be roused, the propriety of the nation must be startled, the hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and the crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced." We have a legitimate voice to raise in our day. From this diverse, spirit-growing, justice-seeking community, a religious voice committed to living into a world worthy of being called beloved, a voice preaching a message of possibility, a message of hope for all souls. Ashe and amen.
That's a tough act to follow. This is my second time. He told me he's done over 600 sermons. Truer words. I grew up a forced agnostic, the child of a lapsed Roman Catholic father and a lapsed Jewish mother, both of whom had frequent negative things to say about their religious upbringing. During my childhood, I definitely searched for a spiritual match, spending a bit of time in churches and synagogues, but all the way to adulthood, I never had anything close to the intense religious experience I had heard others had. So, when, not too long ago, a close friend invited us to come hear his friend Rob preach at something called All Souls Unitarian Church, and they hinted at the fact that the music was pretty good too, I said, okay. We sat in the balcony right over there and had a great view of this pulpit. Then the choir started things off, and the entire sanctuary filled with beautiful sound. And a bit later, Rochelle sang a solo like the angel that she is. And then Rob Hardy's preached, and his message, much like that of today, was one of justice and caring, love and togetherness and considered action amidst a political atmosphere of hatred and division. I finally felt it, the feeling that I was in a spiritual home, a sanctuary, as Reverend Bill just spoke about. And so we kept coming back, and services kept on filling our minds and our souls. And when the pandemic hit, my wife and I took to walking church around our neighborhood, listening to the words, the music, the stories for all ages. All Souls truly sustained us, eased our emotional and mental burdens each and every week. And when the doors opened back up, we were quick to come back to join in community with others. And that's why we give to All Souls. First and foremost, it's a joy and justice-seeking community, and we want it to remain here for all time. And every week there's music to sing together, which for me, at least, is one of the best ways to feel in community with others. True, we are undergoing a change, but I'm heartened by the fact that the music goes on today, including one of my all-time favorite songs. So, for what it's worth, I encourage you too to celebrate the community we share by sharing your treasure as well as your time and heart with All Souls. Thank you. Our Share the Plate offering recipient for July is Gala Hispanic Theater, located in the heart of Columbia Heights at the corner of 14th Street and Park Road. Since 1976, Gala has been promoting and sharing the Latino arts and cultures with a diverse audience, creating work that speaks to communities today and preserving the rich Hispanic heritage for generations that follow. You may be able to see in the Arts and Style section today a great tribute to their founder, Mr. Medrano. If you're in the sanctuary, the ushers will be passing the plate for our offering. You can also text to All Souls by sending ASCU to 73256. If you're on Zoom, click the link in the chat, which will direct you to All Souls online giving. Thank you for your generosity and for the many gifts you offer in love of the children and youth of our congregation. The offering will now be gratefully received.
So we're going to do Let 'Em In, but I have a little different twist to Let 'Em In, and I'm going to honor it to all the African American women and men who have been killed as a result of police violence. Before I sing the song, I want to tell you about my dress. I didn't buy this dress in the United States. I bought it in a little place called Bar in Montenegro. Montenegro shares the colors red, white, and blue. And when I went there, and it's Montenegro means Black Mountain, and I saw people that looked like me. And the little woman in the store, all of her merchandise was red, white, and blue, and she told me about the flag. Now it's bordered in yellow. So I stand here honoring Montenegro and honoring my ancestors, because were it not for the struggles and sacrifices of my ancestors, this country would not be what it is. So, let 'em in.
Somebody ringing the bell. Someone's knocking at your door. Someone's ringing the bell. Do me a favor, open the door and let me in. Someone's knocking at your door. Somebody's ringing the bell. Someone's knocking at your door. Someone's ringing the bell. Do me a favor, open the door and let them in. Ooh, yes. George Floyd, Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, open that door and let them in. Someone's knocking at your door. Somebody's ringing the bell. Someone's knocking at your door. Someone's ringing the bell. Do me a favor, open the door and let me in. Someone's knocking at your door. Someone's ringing the bell. Someone's knocking at your door. Someone's ringing the bell. Do me a favor, open the door and let me in. Ooh, yes. your door. Someone's ringing the bell. Someone's knocking at your door. Someone's ringing the bell. Do me a favor to open the door. Let me in, ooh, yes. Someone's knocking at your door. Someone's ringing the bell. Someone's knocking at your door. Someone's ringing the bell. Do me a favor to open the door and let me in.
Oh, yes, we're on our way. And we thought that we were past the worst parts of the road. But it's now so clear that there are more rough places ahead of us. May the spirit of the ancestors form a cloud of witnesses around us and remind us of the strength within us and the power we can claim when we move together to fulfill the promise of this pretty good country. Oh, yes, we can. Ashe and amen.
Now's the time for all the good men to get together with one another. Drive out all the problems, iron out all our quarrels, and try to find the reason in which we live in, and make this world a better place, the land with which we live in, and show respect to the women of the world. Remember, we all had mothers. Make this land a better land in the world in which we live, and help each man be a better man with the kindness that we give. I know we can make it. I know darn well we can work it out. Yes we can, and yes we can, and we can. If you want it, yes we can. I know we can make it work. I know we can make it if we try. Yes we can, I know we can, yes we can. Well, just the mighty, yes we can. Got to care for the children of this world. They're the greatest hope for the future, the little bitty boys and girls. Make this land a better land in the land in which we live, and help each man be a better man with the kindness that you give. I know we can make it. I know darn well we can work it out. Yes we can, I know we can, yes we can. I know we can make it work. I know darn well we can work it out. We can, yes we can, yes we can. Great God Almighty, yes we can, yes we can. Take care of the children of this world, 'cause they're the greatest hope for our future, the little bitty boys and girls. And make this land a better land in the world in which we live, and help each man be a better man with the kindness that you give. I know we can make it work. I know darn well we can work it out. Yes we can, I know we can, yes we can, yes we can. If you want it, yes we can. I know we can make it work. I know darn well we try. Yes we can, I know we can, yes we can, yes. Somebody, yes we can, yes we can. I know we can make it work. I know darn well we can work it out. Yes we can, yes we can, yes we can. If you want it, yes we can. I know we can make it work. I know darn well we can work it out. Yes we can, no we can, yes we can, yes we can. Yes we can, yes we can, yes we can. You got your money, yes we can, yes we can. Yes we can, yes we can, yes we can. All right, thank you. Yes, we can, y'all. Come on now. Come on. Tell all your friends, your neighbors, people you work with. Tell everybody. Yes, we can.